everything that was in the movie happened in real life. Every single thing. And you guys know because you've worked in restaurants. It may not be the exact scene, but it happens.
Yeah.
On today's podcast, it's Shenanigans, a behind-the-scenes look at the classic movie Waiting. 30 years ago, I worked with a guy named Jim Moses, and he is here with us today. I got a message, and it said, "Hey, it's good to see you, buddy. Nice to connect with you. I have to tell you a story about how myself and Rob McKittrick had a hand in creating the movie Waiting." It's not any secret that the building itself, the motif, everything on the movie Waiting was a Bennigan's. And lo and behold, I worked at a Bennigan's.
And that's where we met, actually, Bennigan. So it was about 1998, I want to say. It was after I left Amherst and transferred down to Bradenton, Florida. We were working in Bennigan's, and there was a young guy came in, and I was one of the people that trained him. And his name was Rob McKittrick. We did everything you saw in the movie, we did in that restaurant. And we didn't do too much of it in our restaurant. But Bill Waterrose was he was a big inspiration for a few of the characters. And so when I was in Bradenton, that's where Rob McKittrick is from. And he was working at the Bennigan's with us. So my friend Julie Klein and Jeremy Patton, they both worked there too. Well, one drunken evening, we were watching Clerks on TV at home. I was like, and we found out he made that movie for like $30,000. And we were like, we could do that. Everybody said, oh, I could do that. So we sat down, talked about it. And the next morning they were like, I was like, hey, what about that? We're going to work on that script. And they were just like, oh, come on. We're just, that was nothing. I worked on it myself. So weekends after work, we'd go over to Julie's house and we'd start working on the script. And the original title that we had for it was called Servers. Yeah, that's what the script was called, Servers. And it was the inner workings of the restaurant, and not just Bennigan's, but, any restaurant. They're all the same. You guys have worked in a couple different restaurants, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So everything that would happen. Yeah, exactly. And everything with the customers and, everything like that happens in every restaurant. So I figured, hey, this might be a good idea for a movie. If what's his name could do it with Clerks, why couldn't we do it? So lo and behold, let me preface this by saying that I had no hand in the production or anything like that of the movie once Rob got out to California.
Okay.
The movie, I think, was filmed in Louisiana, is the Bennigans that they filmed it in.
Okay.
So that's how it originally came about. It took about 2 years for us to really get something on paper that we could, do. Well, we after we got it on paper, we're like, well, how are we going to fund this thing? So we had trouble funding it, but we talked about it at work all the time. And I guess Rob McKittrick, his girlfriend at the time, had like wealthy family. They had, so he just took it and ran with it. He moved out to L.A. and ran with it. They came back to Louisiana to film it, and he just ran with it. And everything in the movie was something based on our experiences. Now I don't know if if you remember the movie, I'm sure you do, the scene where they would show their junk and get to kick the other guy in the
ass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now in the movie they called it the penis showing game. That's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
But it was called the cod game when we did it in Bradenton. It was an actual thing we did, and it was. I guess you can edit.
No,
you can edit out profanity, right?
No, you're good. Let it fly.
What cod stands for, but go ahead.
So
Cock's on display.
Cock's on display.
Listen, or the C word for women on display. Sure, fire away.
Talk to us about like Bishop, the dishwasher.
I was just going to mention him. My favorite character in the whole script. My favorite cat. There was always, and not necessarily a dishwasher. It might have been a cook. It might have been a server, whatever. Mm-hmm. But there was always someone ready to dispense life affirming information that was absolutely useless, but you just found it entertaining, and that was Bishop. That was him. I'd like to kind of compare some of the characters in the movie with
to real life
people I worked with.
Yeah,
but there's really no. It's like, oh, who was I thinking about when I wrote this, or who was I thinking about that? But to be honest, Monty, even though Water Rose was a bartender, Monty was all Water Rose. And he was such a funny guy. Two of my favorite scenes in the movie that are so accurate is seating the last table. When it's 2 minutes, gosh. 2 minutes till 2 minutes till close, and the back shot. Now I had nothing to do with the screenplay or anything like that, and Rob, whoever he got to do that, phenomenal job. But they would have the guys in the back are just counting the minutes. The back of the house is counting the minutes until we close. And she comes in, she's like, I just sat a table of 2. I got a 2 top. And they just go off like monkeys in a cage, man. It was hilarious. I thought that was, son of a, yeah.
Talk to us
what I'm talking about.
Workplace romance.
Oh, boy.
That's a big thing in the restaurant business because you're working side by side with similar minded people. Mm-hmm. There's usually some kind of inappropriate behavior.
Like whipping your dick out and showing somebody. Yeah. Bend over.
Listen, the movie does a good job about the dynamic of hooking up in the restaurant. The young host is definitely a trope. They are praised.
Sure.
They are fodder for for servers and cooks alike. Why does it resonate so much?
I think it. Are you talking about just the movie or in general?
In general,
the hostess was added, and there was an emphasis put on her age because a lot of that happened. A lot. There was always that Monty guy who was, hitting on. It didn't matter where you worked, bussers, young busser girls, or vice versa. You never know. There might have been a young guy that some girl waitress wanted to. But that's why that was put in there, just to kind of shine the light on that goes on. You know what I mean? Of course, he made Monty not go through with it until, what was it, next Wednesday when she turned 18. But that it went on. And just romance in general in the restaurant business, I think it was just I wouldn't really call it romance. I think it was just, who am I going to do this week?
Yeah.
Just because, just because.
In a different way, we called it the dick out game, that we would pull it out underneath our aprons. But our aprons weren't like the long bistro aprons. They were like the half cut.
The half cuts?
Half cuts. And so we played that game for maybe a few weeks until one of the guys told the girls, so then they would check by lifting the aprons. Tell us more about your game that ended up making it into the movie.
Sure. There was a friend of mine, Ben Bacher. He was the bartender at the time, and it started out. Now Ben had seen it played somewhere else, so I that's kind of vague there. But in the Bennigans that we worked at, there was one day I came in. I was opening, so I'm getting all the soda machines ready and whatever. And he says, "Hey Moses." I'm like, "What?" And I turn around. There it is, just fully displayed. and then he
got you.
So then, exactly, got you. And so he walks over to me. He's like, "All right, assume the position." I'm like, "Whoa, hey, whoa," He's like, "No, you don't understand. Assume the position." So I bent over and he kicks me in the ass. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it," And that was the first time I was introduced to it. So,
okay.
But then from there, it was on. It was so. There were more dicks flapping around that restaurant than anywhere. Oh my God, it was so fun. And then now here's the thing. Then the girls got into it.
I love it.
So and cut out whatever you have to cut out. But I'm just
let it
going to
fly.
tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So all right. So So then the girls get into it. And so one day I'm coming around. You know the little stairs, the stairs that we used to have on the right side when you would go down into the kitchen? You know what I'm talking about, Bennigan's,
Yeah.
Marlon?
You go down in the stairs, there's an ice machine to the...
Exactly. And then you take a left and you're right there in the kitchen.
Yes.
So I'm going down those stairs, and as soon as I turn the corner, one of the waitresses, and she was actually really good looking, so it was, but she turns around, and she just, like you were talking about with the apron, she already had her pants pulled down, and she just pulled her apron up, and there it was right there. And that's why that got put into the script, was because it was disgusting. It was disgusting. It
was unmanicured?
It looked like two muskrats fighting in a wool sock.
Oh my God.
And that's what it is. Then, so then Ben, was literally right behind me. So I'm guessing he was in on it. He had to have been, because it was too coincidental. And he just goes, "Oh, it's so angry," and that's where that came from. So
that is unbelievable.
That
it's so wild that these things are chronicled, or they happen in parts and put together and things like that. I never in my wildest dream would have thought that was something that that actually happened.
Now, for you, Jim, did that happen before or after they knew you guys were writing the script?
In the middle of it,
okay.
I would say.
So it was already
closer to the end.
It was already a thing, though. They knew you.
Yes,
they knew you guys
it
were
was
working.
already.
Okay.
That wasn't written. That wasn't written for the script. It was just, the script was basically a compilation of all of our experiences that had already happened.
Nice.
So I mean, there was a few things. The end scene was written a little bit differently than the movie, where Mitch goes off on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? I don't know. At the end, he's like, "And you," and he points at Dane Cook. He said, "What did I do?" That was all scripted. But then the end didn't have the where he bent over and showed him the goat. Oh, and that's another thing. We did come up with all of the Batwing, the goat. There was another one called the Old Man that didn't make it to the movies.
What's the Old Man?
The Old Man was. Oh my gosh, the Old Man! You would take your thumb and forefinger and wrap it around your scrot sack and pull down on it, so it was hanging about 4 inches too low. And if you got somebody with that, it was over. That was game, set, match.
That's checkmate.
So, and that's where the goat was never the goat where he puts it between his legs and bends over. That wasn't us. We didn't do that. It was called the Old Man. So you basically had a finger full of balls and you show it to somebody. But the things and this, and we're people, handling your food. I don't think we went and washed our hands every time. Who knows? This was long before Purell.
So let's talk about those things that happen in a restaurant that made it into the movie. We've talked about, we had a show on people spitting. Does it happen that people spit in somebody's food? So we can't talk about waiting without that famous scene where, a couple minutes to closing. Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Sure. And it does happen. I'll give you a couple of specifics. This is, let me just sidetrack for just a second, because I don't want to forget this.
Absolutely.
The scene in the movie where the little kid was getting, he had the birthday singer singing to him, and he was like scared as shit. That really happened. That was something that happened, but it was worse than that. And the movie scene was toned down a lot. What happened was naturally you can't find any birthday singers, okay? So it was just three of us screaming at this kid. There was only 3 birthday singers, and it was just weird. And none of us can sing anyway. So we start singing to this kid. He was probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years old, so he's not a baby.
Yeah.
And the kid just started bawling. But he was afraid. And if you'd go near him, I went to go put the cake down, and he flinched. I'm thinking, what's this kid going? What's going on at home with this kid? So he ended up running out of the restaurant. Okay. And as he ran outside, he trips and falls and busts his nose wide open, blood everywhere. This happened. And so we were like, we wanted to put that in them, but it never made it. It never made it in. It was in the script. You got to remember, this is back. The experience has happened from like 95 to about 99.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie, I don't think the movie was. I don't think he finished production until like 2004. The movie came out like 2005 or 6.
Yeah.
But
2005.
yeah. So So they, all of everything that was in the movie happened in real life. Every single thing. And you guys know because you've worked in restaurants. It may not be the exact scene, but it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, and how many of you had your own birthday song that you would sing in your
they're
head?
the worst.
I mean,
Yes.
come on. Oh, yeah.
I still remember
Happy
the
fucking
Bennigans.
birthday. Here's your stupid cake. Tip me now. Leave it now. Jump in a fucking lake. I would love to sing that to these people. I had that song. That song stayed in my head for years. Julie came up with that. So funny. Try using that today.
What made the movie and what didn't make the movie from your script?
Good question. All right, let's see. Well, we're talking 30 years ago. So give me a minute.
No, you're okay.
There. I'll touch on the ones that I thought, me and Jeremy especially, thought were really great but didn't make the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was a scene where a guy was at the bar, and of course he's hitting on the bartender and just being really, really obnoxious. So then in the script, it was supposed to be, do you remember the character, the one who couldn't piss? In the script, that character was supposed to come over there, and they were trying to help remove the guy from the bar. And then finally, so the guy wouldn't shut up, and he's being belligerent with him. This guy just comes over and pisses on him. Like, he just comes over and just hoses him down.
My gosh.
And then in the script, Monty says, "Really? Now? Really?" Like that. But that's one. That's one.
That's
so it's like,
hilarious.
you can't piss the whole movie, but and I think there was a scene with Naomi, Naomi was actually the name that the character was built up was actually a good friend of Rob's,
Mm-hmm.
and her name was Naomi. I think she was like the only person, a real person with her name in the movie.
Nice.
And she was the crazy one, But there was a scene with her, and then not Anna Faris's character, but I think it was Sam or Pam, the other blonde.
Okay.
I think the other blonde. There was exactly. There was a little scene with them at an after work party, but that got cut too. It was like, we can't have lesbians in the movie. I don't, whatever. It was. I'm like, come on, it's 2000.
Oh yeah, if it came out now, that'd have been like the main focal point.
Forget
it. Had to have it in there.
Oh, forget it. You'd be canceled. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
You could have
or
that,
you'd be
but then
canceled
the
for
other
not
stuff
having
would
it, yeah.
cancel you.
Yeah.
The other stuff would be like, you can have that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, lesbians, that's fine. Just don't whip your dick out of the table. That kind of thing. But that, and it's funny because the whole, and the COD game, I didn't, that's what I wanted to finish telling you about. The COD game, when it was called COD, Cocks on Display, but when the women got into it, we're like, well, wait, it's not Cocks on, so Ben just says, yeah, cunts on display. I was like, oh, you're a genius. So the COD game fit for everything.
Yeah.
And let's see, one other thing that did not make it into the movie, we wanted to have the manager, let's have a good shift. That guy. I think Kettner played him in the movie. So the whole movie he's trying to fit in so hard. Just trying to fit in. Well, he was the scene got changed from Kettner was supposed to be in the freezer, with his pants dropped, waiting for someone to come in. And so he's waiting. And the scene was he was supposed to actually freeze. Like at the end of the movie, you would find him frozen in there with his pants down and his balls hanging out. But that didn't make it. And they changed it to Luis Guzman in the cooler, just waiting. And then he pulls his pants up and then they open the door. I was like, that's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was actually funnier. So yeah, that's. But I have to commend Rob on the end scene where Mitch just shut everybody down. He just shut everybody down. Then he pulls his pants. He pulls his pants down, and they all look at him. And they're like, oh, and Bishop, first one, starts clapping. And then they're all clapping, and he walks out the door. And he's like, "Faggots!" It's like, oh my God. And there you go. There's another thing, and it would have never made it in a movie today. But that scene was that's a reverse. That was in the movie, but not in the script.
Nice.
So, and it was just a rough draft script. It wasn't like I had no screenwriting capabilities or experience. So.
I think
crazy.
he did a good job of giving credit where credit is due. He took it and ran with it, and that he did a great job.
Same thing with the script. You know what I mean? Like we never thought this thing, or we didn't have the resources to see it through to fruition. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that he picked it. Had he not had a rich girlfriend at the time, this movie would have never been made. And that's the honest facts, because I was all about it, but could you imagine trying to sell a script to Hollywood? It's just
so hard.
Just unheard of. I mean, I'm sure it is. Sure.
Once the movie got made, tell me about your relationship with Rob and your relationship with the movie itself. How proud of you are, and do you even tell that story? Because it seems unbelievable.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, if Rob wasn't one of my friends on Facebook, half the people I tell the story to would never believe it. I had no heads up that the movie was even coming out. Like none whatsoever. I got no recognition for that. Maybe on his Wikipedia page, I think, but that was about it. But my feelings were when I saw the movie. Okay, I was going to see the movie anyway. I'm like, waiting, and it started playing. We watched the movie and it starts playing. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. This is our. So it's like, this is our script. What's going on here? And that's when I contacted him. Like, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, we made the movie. Oh really?
Thanks.
So it was like that type of that type of situation. But I mean, I don't know what I didn't expect him to be flying. Hey, you want to be in the movie, or do you want to some financial compensation? I'm just glad the movie got made, and that's the honest truth.